Hello there, I'm Scotty. Going out. Welcome back to the Chucky Revisited series. And today we're talking about Bride of Chucky, released in 1998. So, yes. Bride of Chucky marks the new era of Chucky movies. The first three were very much about Chucky going after Andy or a child, hence child's play. But now it's different. Chucky is now the main character, I guess, since of Chucky is in the title, and this is very much 90s, and this is actually 1998. And look, watching those back to back, Child's Play 3 and this do not feel like they take place in the same year. 1998 was deep into the 90s, and it had its own look. 1991 did not. It was very much like early 90s was still kind of living off the 80s a little bit. Evidence of this is in Saved by the Bell, by the way. The clothes they wear are still very 80s in the early 90s. So, yeah. But this just, they don't feel like they take place in the same year. But, yeah. And as mentioned, this is when Chucky scared me. The scarred, sewed up look of Chucky scared the crap out of me growing up. Because he was just a normal looking doll in the first three, and now, he looked scary to me. I already mentioned my encounter with the WCW Nitro segment, but also there was another segment one I didn't bring up, and it was Saturday Night Live. I remember I was upstairs in our apartment playing with my toys at the time. My mom called me down, and she was watching Saturday Night Live, and they showed Chucky, and I flipped out and hit on the stairs. But I have since watched that clip, and wow, I should have paid more attention. One, Chucky doesn't even look like Chucky. His hair's colored differently, it's a little messed up, and it's not even Brad Dourif doing the voice. So, yeah. Yeah, and so we start with a lockup in this movie. And then again, according to internet sources, this takes place 1 month after the events of Child's Play 3. How Tiffany found him that quick, I don't know. She said she's been searching for him for 10 years. Which, people are going to hear, when this first came out. Okay, so it's been 10 years since the last one. She's been looking for 10 years. But the dialogue in that scene does not indicate 10 years since Child's Play 3. 10 years since the first Child's Play. Because that's how long it's been. 1, 2, 3 don't take place. Because it's only... That would put it in 2001. And no. That was the case. Plus the time jump, 1998, 10 years since that would put 2008. There's no way it's 2008. This is 290s. Too much 90s, so no. So we get a lockup but this is where they start going a little tongue-in-cheek with stuff, because you get a hockey mask that's supposed to be Jason, you get Freddy Krueger's glove, Leatherface's chainsaw, and a Michael Myers mask. That's not the only horror icon tease or gag that they do, but and we see the Officer Bailey taking Chucky's mutilated corpse, which is in better shape than it should be, having him going through a fan. That thing should have really splattered everything everywhere. It shouldn't even have any pieces left. It should be just I don't know. I also have to question that out of all the times, last time was the only time they actually had kept evidence of something. I mentioned this in my review for the second one, that that the cops said nothing, and they declared Mrs. Barkley a cuckoo when there was obvious evidence that something happened, and they didn't. There's no evidence. Same thing with the second one. They just left everything in that factory. For 8 years. Now they finally take evidence in. Technically, it was the first time we saw cops at a crime scene since the first one. So he takes the corpse, but you don't see what is in the back, so he goes to see it, and Tiffany slits his throat with a nail file, right? This is our introduction to Tiffany, played by Jennifer Tilly. I love this opening because she has the thing. She's like, "Well, hello, Dolly," and you get the credits. Set to Rob Zombie's "Living Dead Living Dead Girl." Great song. But I have the subtitles on when I watch movies because I like that, and I never realized the lyrics were so strange. Yeah. And so we then see our lead human characters, Jesse and Jade, and Jade, who is going on a date with Gordon Michael Wolfett, who I know from Andromeda. Gene Roddenberry's Andromeda. Yes. Character on there. And he's gay. But not just gay, he's 90s gay. Let me explain what 90s gay is. You see, in the 90s, they didn't exactly know how to write for gay characters. So, it's especially weird knowing the fact that Don Mancini himself is gay, why they would write him like this. Writers, specifically straight writers, would write gay characters as, oh, they're gay, so they must like everything that women do, and everything is very effeminate, and everything has to be. So, like, he's having this conversation, and he's like, Jade's uncle, played by the late great John Ritter, who I know from Three's Company. Great show, grew up with that show on Nick at Night. So, yeah. He's like, oh, so you're going to go to college. What are you going to study? Sports? Theater arts. Okay, that's okay. And then he's like, oh, but on an athletic scholarship, like football, figure skating. Okay. And then he has this whole thing about, oh, it's actually an orchid. What you gotta do is you do this, and this. And it's like, even she's looking at him like, shut up. Because what they're doing is they're trying to pass him off as her date because Warren, the uncle, doesn't like her actual boyfriend, Jesse. Jesse and Jade's relationship confuses me, and I'll get to that in a second, but yeah. So they leave, and he immediately knows something's up. So whatever the plan was, it didn't actually work. And Jesse's actually in the back of David's car. And yeah, but then he gets stopped by the officer they call Needle Nose because he's got a big pointy nose, you see. And his real name is Officer Norton. So for all your antivirus needs, go see him. I mean, you can't. He's dead. I forgot. He dies in this movie. But anyway, so he shows up and starts breathalyzing them for some reason. And then Warren shows up and basically says, you didn't fool me. Nice try. Blah, blah, blah. And he's like, you fuck. And Warren goes, you won't. Not Jade, that is. Not anymore. Not Jade, at least. Not anymore. At that... we're not there yet. So he takes Jade back home, and then we go to Tiffany's trailer. So Tiffany has Chucky in the middle of this devil's trap, because I can't think of the. It's a devil's trap. It's a pentagram. That's it. Pentagram. I had to do this. I'm AJ Styles or some shit. You don't want none. You don't want none. But no, get ready to fly. There we go. Has him laying in the middle of a pentagram, which has never been any part of the ritual, with candles around. Again, never been a part of the ritual. And now she's got the Voodoo for Dummies book and starts to recite the same chant that Chucky did. Now, growing up, this didn't bother me, but this is why I'm redoing these, going with the context of the TV show. We now know that Damballa is a voodoo god, right? Why would a specific chant for a voodoo god be in a Voodoo for Dummies book? I mean, they've retconned this now, that being that the book is how Chucky learned how to do it, but it makes a lot more sense if John taught him the art of Damballa and everything. It makes sense. A Voodoo for Dummies book would have it chant for a specific voodoo god. I find that unlikely, but it seems not to work. And then we get the late Alexis Arquette showing up as Damien Baylock, which is a double Omen reference. Damien, of course, being the devil child, and Mrs. Baylock being the evil nanny sent to watch him. So, yeah. Watch the original. Don't watch the remake. They're pretty much the same thing, except for how the mom dies. So he comes in and he tries to present this picture that he killed someone, but it's him. She catches on. By the way, they seem to present Tiffany as if she's never actually killed someone before. And when she does her first kill, he is amazed and in awe by it. And I'm just like, but the TV series tells us they were killing together before the events of Child's Play. Speaking of before the events of Child's Play, let me get to that. So she realizes that the doll is gone, and I love the look on her face when she's like this. She's like, when she turns around and sees that pentagram's all messed up, and he's gone. Eventually find the doll, and she has Damien strapped in chains on the bed, and she puts Chucky on his lap, and he's laying there, and then we get a comment about Chucky's wiener size, for lack of a better term, and we get one of the greatest lines I've ever heard Chucky say. It ain't the size that counts, asshole. It's what you do with it. Of course, he is freaked out, and so Chucky pulls out his lip piercing, which, good, because, look, people, you should only pierce your ears or maybe your nipples. Ears, belly button, and maybe your nipples, but don't put anything in your mouth or in your nose. Eyebrows, I could say is okay, I guess. But, like, don't. Sorry, you look stupid. Especially when you put it through here. You look like a freaking door knocker or a bullet. You look stupid. You know how many people good looking people that ruin their looks by putting thing on their nose? It's like, why? Why would you do that? I can see something like this being easy to take off, but you gotta put it through the thing right here. And it looks weird. And now I sound like a groupie. You know what? I'm happy. Hooray. I'm trying to talk and it comes on nasally, but I'm just saying. No, okay. Anyway, this has always been an interesting kill to me because he pulls the lip ring out and he just suffocates him to death. Like, oh, and then the dialogue afterward, he does that, and he's like, "Hi." She's like, "Hi. How you been?" "Good. You?" "Peachy." You know. So she was telling Damien about this whole thing, what happened. They were going to get married. And so she brings up this ring. So this also throws a wrench in the whole everything before child's play situation. Because she says that they were supposed to get married. She found a ring that she thought was an engagement ring. But again, I'm going to try to make sense of this though. But again, we find out later she's the one who called Detective Norris on Chucky. Also, she's in New York and they were in Chicago when everything happened. Because according to the Chucky TV series, they were living in Chicago when everything went down. Now she's in New York. I guess that's where part 3 took place, was in New York, because that's where the lockup was, I guess. I don't know. But like, yeah, so there's this whole thing with her being there. She thought he was going to get married. Like I said, I'm going to make sense with it. So my headcanon here is that she called the police on him, but found the ring afterwards and realized in her brain at least that he was going to propose to her and felt bad about it. Of course, then it got worse because turns out he got killed because of what she did. But of course, he was never going to propose to her. It's a ring from someone named Vivian Van Pelt, and the ring is worth what, $5,000 or something like that, or $5 million, whatever. I don't know. And so she locks him in a baby pen. And then we find out the next day that when she's bringing Damien's body out. By the way, this also, we'll get to it, that Jesse lives in the same trailer park. So we find out in conversations that Jade is underage. Because Warren tells her that her parents, I guess, are dead, and she was put in his custody. Until she's 18, she's under his rules, right? So she's not 18 yet. She's underage. But Jesse is living out of a trailer by himself. He is not with parents, he's living by himself. Everything at the opening, though, indicated they were still in high school because they were going to a dance. So I'm very confused. One thing I can think of is that Jesse is also underage, but he's emancipated from his parents, which you can do. You can get emancipated. So he's living on his own. He's emancipated. You know, he can't be an orphan because I don't think that's how it would work if he was under 18. Although Nick Stabile is older than fuck's her name? Catherine Isabel. No, the Grey's Anatomy chick. I can't think of her name. And of course, it's not going to be on the thing, is it? No. But he's older than she is, so I don't know. So she has Jesse put the trunk, which has Damien's body in it, in her car. Okay, something I thought of this time. So we find out later that the body was dumped in the river. How'd she get the trunk out of her car if she needed him to put it in there for her? And even if she dumped the body in the river, wouldn't her fingerprints be all over it? The body? Doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. And they connected this guy's body, Damien, whose real name is Howard Fitzwater, to Officer Bailey's murder. It's connected. And we see these two detectives. One of them we see later, but he's, they're like, it could be connected, we don't know. We have no information this time. And this other detective just like throwing stuff out there. Yeah. I wish there was more with these two detectives. Like, I don't know. It just felt like there was another draft of this script that had more than a minute, but we only see them on TV. So, yeah. So, this is where we get the namesake, okay, of the movie. As she's flipping through TV channels, and would have been nice if in post production they would have put WCW Monday Nitro, just her flipping through, and you see just a clip of Goldberg or something. Would have been kind of cool. Kind of call that out. But when she gets to Bride of Frankenstein, which is playing, and so Chucky escapes using that ring that she gave to the doll's ring, because I forgot, she brings in what we now know as the Bell doll, and there's your bride, Chucky. I also want to point out that at one point she blows smoke in his face and he coughs, when later it's now canon that Chucky was also a smoker. So I guess if someone blows smoke in your face, you're gonna cough either way. And if he hasn't been smoking for 10 years, maybe his lungs are better. Who knows? Not that it matters, but by the time he gets a human body, which, by the way, and this is a little bit trivial, but like, if Chucky was a smoker and now he's in a doll's body, we see he smokes weed, sure, but like, if Tiffany can do it, why couldn't he have done it all this time, you know? Then again, it probably wasn't canon yet until the TV series, but anyway, I digress. So he tries to run after her. I like how he just gets kicked in the face and knocked back. So he pushes the TV into the bubble bath, which was originally how Aunt Maggie was going to die in the original Child's Play, but it was taken out. So now we get to see it here. So Tiffany is dead, and he recites the "I do a Dambala" chant with bubbles everywhere, and puts her into the doll. Yes, and so they come up with a plan that involves some retconning. This is the most frustrating thing about this film, because I love this movie, but introducing this MacGuffin now makes you look at the first three films in a different way. It made Chucky look stupid for what he was doing in the first three films, because it's revealed by Chucky that in order to transfer your soul into a human body, you need something called the Heart of Damballa, which we'd never seen before, and after seeing Chucky, we would never see again, despite the fact that we see body switching after that. I guess the Heart of Damballa was originally in a first draft script, or a script, for the first Child's Play, but was taken out. But why bring it back now? Because like I said, if he needed this thing to switch bodies the entire time, what was the point of him trying to go after Andy or Tyler in the last three movies? If he knew it wasn't going to work without the Heart of Damballa to do it. What's more confusing is that he says they have to go to Hackensack to exhume his body and get the Heart of Damballa that was apparently on his body when he died, despite the fact that it wasn't, but still. And one thing that has always confused me about this is, if he died in Chicago, why was he buried in Hackensack? If he died in Illinois, why was he buried in New Jersey? Like, I understand that family members can say, oh, I want to bury him here, whatever, but this is a criminal. He had no family. His parents were dead, at least in the context of the TV show, both his parents were dead. So he has no family. So who was there to say we want to bury him in Hackensack? Did they do it just because that's where he's from? I don't know. It made any sense to me. They just need a place to go to get this MacGuffin. That's it. So Tiffany has the idea to use Jesse to transport the dolls there because they're too short to drive there. Even though Chucky has gone from place to place before. Excuse me. For bourbon, but yeah. So she calls Jesse and says, "Hey, sweet face, I'll give you $500." And he goes, "Make it 1,000 because apparently that's enough to make a living." Because he's gonna take Jade and go on the run, I guess. So he shows up. He gets the dolls. He goes to Jade's place, and then Warren shows up and is going to plant weed inside the car. Now, this hasn't aged well because mostly, weed is legal. It's not even, you can still get busted for it, but it's pretty much a slap on the wrist. You're not going to get much time for weed, I don't think. I never been busted for weed. I don't do that stuff, but still, I'm just saying, I don't think you're going to get much nowadays for it. Look at Liv Morgan. It was basically a slap on the wrist. She's women's world champion now. She got arrested with the stuff, so I don't think you're liable to get more jail time for a DUI than you would for having weed now. At least I think. I know experts, so don't quote me on that, but yeah. So sorry, I got an itch. So then we get a memorable kill. Okay. He's snooping around, and they come. So Chucky wants to take him out by stabbing him, and she's like, "No, that's overdone. You look like Martha Stewart." I love the reaction. Who the fuck is Martha Stewart? She's my idol. Chucky wouldn't know who Martha Stewart was. You know who he would know? Pinhead. Yes. So they set up this thing with the nails on the airbag. We'll talk about it. The airbag goes off. There's someone able to activate the airbag to fling the nails into his face. And Chucky looks at this and goes, "Why does he look so familiar?" When I was a kid, I didn't get that reference. I do now. I'm like Captain America. I got that reference. So, yeah. And they quickly clean up the mess and stuff him in a. I guess there's a hidden place underneath the seat that you could put things. I don't know. And there's nothing in there apparently because they fit Warren in there just fine. So they get in. Jesse and Jay get in. Somehow don't notice that the airbag has been exploded. How did they clean that up? It's a bit confusing. But they're off. They're driving. And but they're stopped by Needle Nose again. Chucky takes care of him by blowing up, putting a. I ain't putting no banana in no tailpipe. No, putting a flaming rag in a tailpipe, causing the car to blow up because that's how it works. And because I kind of brushed over this, but because there was an altercation between both Jesse and Jada and Needle Nose, because he found. So first of all, Jay goes off on him because she's like, "Come on, can I appeal to your sense of humanity?" They do this, and he goes, it's nothing personal, at least on my part, but the money, because Warren pays him extra, I guess. And then he goes digging through the van and finds the bag of weed that was hidden in there. Because Chucky can't hide it, apparently. He throws it, and Needle Nose finds it. It's not mine. And I have a question. Why did Warren need to hide it in there? Couldn't, Needle Nose just have it, go in, take it out of his pocket, and go, "Look, I found this in there." If they're going to plant it, right? Why did Warren need to plant it? Because they need the character to die? Yeah. So, Needle Nose blows up, and they take off, and they're both suspicious of each other. This is where David calls and gives us some information that is very confusing. Because he's like, well, Needle Nose is dead. But also, they have witnesses who claim it was them, but also they've linked it to the murders of Howard Fitzwater, Damien, and Officer Bailey because they found Bailey's lighter because Chucky dropped it. Yeah. And now Warren, and also they say that Warren has gone missing. And I went, hold on. Hold the hell on. No. How can he be missing? I know he's dead, but here's the situation. When someone goes missing and you report them, you cannot report someone missing for 24 hours. That's what they'll tell you. How long has they been gone? A couple hours. Well, we can't do anything until 24 hours. So, Warren has been missing for less than an hour by this point, maybe 2 hours. I don't know. How do they even know he was missing to begin with? Did someone call him, try to get information, and he didn't answer? Just because he doesn't answer the phone doesn't mean he's missing. It makes no sense. And later, they kind of try to implicate that he's the murderer just because he went, quote-unquote, missing. Yeah, from this point, they're kind of on odds, but then Jesse decides, hey, let's go get married. So they go to this chapel and get married, I guess. And Chucky and Tiffany, they make up, I guess I'll say. And then, for some reason, so they have a hotel room at this place. So they get married. Here's the thing. She's underage. And if we're to believe that let's say he's emancipated, he's still technically underage. Even if he wasn't, two underage people cannot just get married. Right? You have to be at least 18 to get married, right? Doesn't make any sense. But whatever. In Niagara Falls, which by the way is not on the way to Hackensack, New Jersey. They go off the beaten path, I guess. But they're again watching the news, right? And they say that there were prints on the lighter that belonged to Charles Lee Ray, which starts the doll can leave fingerprints cliche that we have going on in these films. Yeah, so now they're going to exhume his body, which now leaves a sense of urgency because they need to get to that body. And the cemetery is where they're delivering the dolls anyway, but yeah. So, then this random couple comes in, and one of them is Margot Kidder's niece, who you may know from Ginger Snaps 2, Unleashed. She's the counselor lady for Ghost. That weird pyrotechnic character played by She-Hulk. Yes. So, yeah, they barge in and want to do a menage a trois. By the way, do you know what the French call an orgasm? La petite mort. The little death. And yes, I said it right because Damien doesn't say it right. It says la petite morte. It's not morte, la petite mort. Mort. You don't pronounce the E, it's mort. I know that's confusing when you look at the Italian title, but that's French, right? That was French, I said. The Italian title for Cemetery Man was Della Morte dell'Amore. That's Italian, not French. Della Morte. Le Petite Morte. Anyway, so this couple comes in and wants to have a menage a trois, and they're like, no, get out. And in full view of everyone, I mean, if they just looked a little bit to the left or something, they'd be able to see this, but the lady steals Jesse's wallet. Tiffany notices, and so she kills these people in a glorious fashion. They're in a waterbed having sex, and by the way, my grandparents had a waterbed when I was young. It is one of the worst beds you could ever have. Because you're trying to sit on it, and it's just... I know, I used to be playing in there, and I'd sit on the bed, and it is so hard to get stable on one of those fucking things. Right? Let alone try to sleep in it. I remember being not comfortable, but decent. You try to lay in it, but you make one little movement, the whole thing goes blah, 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 blah. And then when you're a little kid trying to sleep with your grandparents, right? Because you're little, you sleep in the middle, everything is moving. It's not practical. So no. That's why sometimes I end up sleeping on the floor in there. I had my own bed, but when you're little. But I digress. So, Tiffany comes in. She throws a bottle of champagne into this mirror that's above them, which a glass mirror hanging above waterbed. That's smart. And the shards come down, and it always baffles me how they think that glass shards work. Because you get cut, sure, it wouldn't murder them. I don't think anyway. I think most of them would just fall on top of them. There's no, I don't know. But they both get murdered, and then Mary from Hocus Pocus comes in the next morning to clean up the place and sees this. Yes, it's Kathleen and Jimmy. Freaks out, and Jesse and Jade take off. I should mention that before they both called David, blaming one another for what's happening. So David shows up and then takes off with them. How did he get there? Did he just leave his car there? And he got there overnight? It's confusing. And he knew where they were. How did he? I don't know. One of them probably told him, I don't know. But he reasons that if you're both complaining the other one did it, then neither of them did it. This is right before he finds Warren's body. I do like his reaction though. Pooh! Something really stinks in here. He finds Warren's body and completely freaks out. And this is where the movie kind of loses me a bit. Because it's like, so they wanted David to be here. But like, this never really ever made sense to me. Because like, what was the point of having David find them if you're just going to kill them off right away? Because he shows up, he finds Warren's body, he takes Warren's gun, and he points it at them, and he goes to leave. He walks out and gets immediately hit and squashed by a truck coming by, and that's that. And then this is where Chucky and Tiffany reveal that they're alive and tell them to drive, and then we cut, and they're in a Winnebago, and they killed the owners off screen. They got rid of Jesse's van. Okay. But I don't know. David's death has always been unnecessary to me. It makes no sense. It comes out of nowhere and just... You know what I mean? I don't know. So, yeah, they're in the Winnebago now, and Tiffany's cooking Swedish meatballs. A running thing for her now after this. And cookies. You gotta love the Swedish meatballs. Not bad. But anyway, so Jade and Jesse come up with this idea because Jesse heard Tiffany say something earlier about if a wife can spend all that time cooking and cleaning, the least a man can do is the dishes. So he prompts Chucky to yell at Tiffany to do the dishes. She freaks out, and then Jade just kicks her into the oven. And a gunshot causes Jesse to drive off the road. When you think they're free, they're not. Because Chucky now has Jade at gunpoint. And again, now I could see, again, this is back to Kyle, okay? This is a grown-ass woman, okay? Why can't she just throw him? She's got a gun. And even later, so later on, he throws a knife, and Jesse turns around and gets stabbed in the back. She pulls it out, and he's like, I'll take that. And she throws it back to him, to Chucky, and I went, what are you doing? I was like, what are you doing? You are 5 feet taller. You are 3 feet taller than this thing. Come on. Honestly, it just, oh, the power of Damballa makes him stronger. But, come on. So then, Jesse grabs a burnt up Tiffany, and I love how he's running with her, and she's going, ooh, ah, ah, ooh, ooh, ah, ah, ooh, ooh. ow, 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 ow. So, Chucky and Jay get to Chucky's grave. Chucky kills the guy digging up the grave. We see the corpse. He tells Jay to go down there to get the heart of Damballa. She pulls it off, breaking his neck. Ah, you broke my fucking neck. I love that line. And so they get it, but then Jesse shows up to make a bargain. Dormammu have come to bargain with Tiffany's corpse. But this also makes no sense because they make a trade, right? And he goes to throw the knife. It hits Jesse instead. And then, but when Tiffany gets over, she goes, "Hold me, Chucky," and he's like, "Ugh." Like, what? And then the very next scene, somehow, he's tied both Jesse and Jade up. And is starting to do the Damballa chants. So you've tied up these people whose bodies you were trying to transfer into. Meaning that when you've successfully transferred your soul into their bodies, you would then now be tied up. I get they needed to make sure that they couldn't run away, but pointing a gun at them has worked just fine so far. I don't understand. This is confusing to me. I love this movie, I do, but this is just. I saw this and I went, why are they tied up? Does he not realize when he transfers his soul into that body, into their souls into their bodies, they'll then be tied up? This doesn't make any sense to me. But doesn't matter because they're able to get free somehow because Tiffany crawls over, says she loves Chucky, goes down to kiss her, and she stabs him in the back, literally, causing him to fall down. And Jesse and Jay get free, but then the doll, Chucky's still alive. They have a shovel fight. You hit me with a shovel. And then Tiffany gets killed. He stabs Tiffany through the heart. Although, it looks like it's through the stomach, which is going to be an issue in a second, but I got to put on a comment earlier when she's like, "Take it from me, honey. Plastic is no substitute for a good hunk of wood." And then Chucky looks at Jesse and goes, "I didn't hear her complaining last night." By the way, there was a doll sex scene, which I want to point out puts a whole new perspective. How the hell could he have a doll, Winky? How? Just how? I know this continues in the next one, but how? I just don't get it. I just don't get it. But Jay kicks Chucky into the grave, right? And is pointing a gun at him. When the detective finally shows up after hours of not being there and tells her to drop the gun, but she then takes his gun and gets ready to shoot Chucky, which you get another great one-liner. "Go ahead, kill me, but I'll be back. I always come back." Dying is such a bitch. And so she shoots him through the heart, which is the smart thing to do, and he dies. The detective then gets a phone call and he says, Jesse and Jade, hell, they didn't do it. It's the dolls. He believes the dolls did it now, so yeah. So he tells Jade and Jesse to go back home and stay there. Okay, Jesse and Jade. He then finds Tiffany, and she gives birth to this little creature thing that will be in the next movie, and the movie ends. Now, I'm going to contradict Dead Meat with this. I do not believe the detective was killed here. I do not. The baby, this little infant, was too little to kill him. It attacked him, sure, but there's no way it killed him. I know that he's probably going off the fact that Glenda, whatever, survived and is in the next film to lead to that. But it's very plausible that it attacked him. He shot at it, but it got away. It scuttered away. And then he ran off, got in his car, and just drove off from a crime scene or something. I don't think he died. I just don't think it would kill him. I don't know. My headcanon, now I'm thinking about it, is that he kind of attacked him, he flung it away, and then he was found by Sykes, who has shit face in the beginning of the next one. So yeah. But yeah, again, before I get into the final stuff, the soundtrack. This soundtrack is fantastic. You got the Rob Zombie song at the beginning. You got Blondie's Call Me. There's a Willie Nelson cover at some point. And, which I think is the song I was talking about that plays when Tiffany's bringing the trunk out. I like that song. It's all pretty cool soundtrack. Late 90s stuff. Pretty good. I'm going to give this a pretty good. My favorite kill and my one-liner go hand in hand because my favorite kill is Damien. And my favorite one-liner, it's not the size that counts, asshole. It's what you do with it. Let me try it again. It's not the size that counts, asshole. It's what you do with it. And that whole conversation was just like, hi. The whole thing, the death and the conversation go together, and that one-liner just ties it off in a little bow. Perfecto. And I love this movie. There's issues, sure, but I love it. It's up there with the first one. The first one is God tier for me. It's To the Moon, but this is pretty good. It's up there. I like it better than the second one. Excuse me, the second one at least. So, yeah, this is a long one, wasn't it? Sorry about that. So what are your thoughts on Bride of Chucky? Let me know in the comments. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. You know, these revisits are supposed to be a little more in-depth, so if they're longer, they're longer. Fuck it. You know? I thank you for watching. I've been Sky, and I'll see you in the next one.